I think I'm just kind of trying to build the company more now and rely on other people. I've never really hired this many people before. Like I have a project manager now and like people on my Facebook analytics and stuff. So I'm just trying to keep it as it goes. All right.
Oh, the illusion is gone.
Don't get coronavirus in your heart.
Let's do it.
It's the base.
LOSO__G.
Deacon, the engineer.
And we got a special guest. We got all around Renaissance man, the go-to guy for crowdfunding stuff, Salvador Briggman. He founded the popular Crux site. He's been cited on everything from the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, CNN. He helps a lot of other entrepreneurs raise money on platforms like Kickstarter, Indiegogo. He also has a very, very popular podcast called Crowdfunding Demystified. And this guy, my man, this guy's younger than all of us, but he's written 10 books, if I'm not mistaken. 10 books, son. And this guy's just out here doing his thing, man. So thank you for coming on and stuff like that. Did I get that right, Salvador? Is there or Sal?
Yeah, man. Else? I mean, that was a really good intro. I'm like, who's this guy? Who's this guy?
Yeah.
If you didn't know you were a big shot, now you know.
Me?
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I mean, I've been looking forward to doing this for a while. I mean, you've had my friend Jen on the show too. So you guys seem like you have some really good convos and stuff. So ready to go wherever you want with it.
Yeah, I think we're pretty okay. I'm biased, but you know.
I had to Google crowdfunding when the definition is in the word.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually something I think that's changed a lot over time. You know, like when I got started, got started back in 2012, and this was like back in the time when people were doing Kickstarters, and like this guy raised, I don't know, it was like 50 grand to make potato salad, and it went like all viral and stuff on like social media. So I got it in like the early days. You know, now I think a lot of people think of like GoFundMe, right? When crowdfunding.
So how'd you decide to get involved in that space? Because I remember when I guess the idea of crowdfunding was becoming very, very popular. But I guess just given the fact that like you were very young, you know, that was a new quote unquote I guess idea at the time. But you were like, just fuck it, man. You just kind of jumped in there and you kind of became the go-to person in regards to crowdfunding.
The go-go.
Yeah, dude, I didn't plan it all. Like I was in university, I was in college, and I just did this blog on the side. I was really interested in this thing called equity crowdfunding, which is kind of like the stock market, but for startups. And I was just like blogging on the side, and like one of my articles started to get more viral. And it got to the point where, you know, after school, I was like, I'm not going to take a job. I'm going to try and start a business. So I was trying to start like this web development company. And I started to make more money with the blog than I was making like trying to start this company. And I was like, this makes no sense. Like, why don't I just focus full time on the blogging stuff? And that was back in like, you know, 2013. And I went full time in 2014. And it's just been like, you know, a march onwards from there, trying to do the podcast and like YouTube and everything. And I feel pretty lucky, you know, I get to work with creative people all day, which is pretty neat, you know.
That's cool. What is it about crowdfunding in general that like pulls you in? What is unique about crowdfunding?
Well, I think there's a lot of bullshit, honestly, when it comes to like entrepreneurs that are out there that have like these big ideas and like the whole startup vibe and stuff.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about Kickstarter is like people actually invented a real product, right? Like they made a prototype. They spent the time to make this thing. And then they launch it on Kickstarter and they get funding from a bunch of people around the world. You know, so that kind of always drew me in because I hated like these BS entrepreneurs who are like launching this startup, launching that startup, and like it doesn't really go anywhere, you know? So I kind of like the physical component of it. And then just like you have a really interesting blend of like very creative people and also people that are like making money and doing what they love, which is really rare, I think, you know.
Outside of what you have now, do you have like this dream business that you wish you could start up? Like anything? Like if you had any money right now, like what would you just create?
I think I would probably, if I had infinite money, I'd probably just spend a lot more time writing, honestly. You know, I think if I was to start a different business, it's kind of hard because like I already like what I'm doing. It'd be more like blowing it up, trying to get like a bigger audience, you know, like more courses, like more live events when COVID's done and stuff like that. Like that would be cool to me. But I do think it'd be neat, like to see like a product coming from the idea and like bringing it all the way to when you're selling it online and like document that entire journey and then like make a mini docu-series out of that. I think that'd be a pretty cool idea.
Yeah,
You know?
that's pretty dope. Because it's like, imagine if, you know, I mean, especially I'm thinking particularly tech companies, because tech companies, you know, develop way faster than virtually anything else. Like they're just able to scale way quicker, it seems. It's just, imagine having like a documentary, like as it's happening for like Facebook or for like Amazon or something like that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I was talking with this guy today who's like 22 and he's just now starting to make his first product. Like, and how cool is that? Like you have really young kids who are able to get into the game and like using TikTok and like using Instagram and get a bunch of followers and like launch a new product. It's insane. It's like, it's completely different from, you know, when I was getting started in the online game. It's a lot easier, I think.
So just for clarity, if I'm not mistaken, these crowdsourcing or these crowdfunding platforms, right? It's different than like raising money or raising capital for a company another way because you don't got to pay it back. Or am I mistaken about that? Because that was one of the things I remember when the platform first came out. There was a lot of dope products that were on it, a lot of people hyping things up. But I remember specifically, I think they were trying to bring back Mega Man. They were trying to make like a spiritual successor to Mega Man. And I remember that story just turning out to be like a bad one, where it was just like they never delivered on their product.
Yeah. There are definitely campaigns that have gone down in history as like scamming or been not super great. But a lot of them are someone has gotten a prototype or an idea and they want to get it to the next stage. So like, how do I get, you know, enough money to do a minimum order quantity of like 1,000 of these things without purchasing all the inventory or like the tooling costs that go into manufacturing. So they'll launch a Kickstarter, get the funding to do that, and then they go produce it. And it usually takes about 3 or 4 months to get it done. So it's kind of like a pre-order, if you want to think of it that way. So if you come out with a new idea, and now there's this whole new thing called equity crowdfunding, which is like you can actually invest in these companies. You know, because that's one of the things. I don't know if you guys know the Oculus Rift, right?
Yeah.
That actually started on Kickstarter, and they did about $2 million on Kickstarter, and then they sold to Facebook for like $1 billion or like something crazy, and that really upset a lot of people back in the day because they're pre-ordering the product. But like in the future, I think we're going to see a lot more of these like equity crowdfunding campaigns where anyone can launch a company and like anyone can invest in it, and it's really exciting to me for that reason.
I like the idea of that because I feel like my fault, Fab. Like that's one of the, I guess, complaints I think people have about like, I guess just startups, right? That funding at those early stages is just closed off from anybody else just because of, you know, just social circles, right? Like that's just the way it is. Like, I feel like this might be an opportunity for like, you know,
I think it's BS too. Yeah, I think it's, look at like Robinhood and stuff and like how they're challenging traditionally the way finance is done. Like it's just such BS to me that you can't invest in a startup or it's really hard to as like an everyday person. You can't invest in the next Uber. It's like this whole insider club that's now kind of being unlocked a bit. And I really like that, you know?
So, I mean, based on what you're saying, I won't make any like assumptions, but what is your general like opinion of the landscape of like venture capital?
You know, honestly, I don't know too much about it. Like I know it's probably as much as like the next well-read guy on it. For me, I've always been more focused on like the angel investor, like the small kind of capital raises. So people who don't have enough like to get like a, I don't know, $20 million VC raise, but are looking to get like 500K. You know, that's more like my wheelhouse. So I'm not super well versed on the VC stuff, honestly.
Yeah. I mean,
they seem kind of slimy, right? Like,
oh yeah, very much so. It's kind of like the. I mean, it's kind of like what Jose was saying earlier. It is very much sort of like a closed loop sort of thing. Very much dependent on social circles. Very much dependent on just kind of, you know,
being in the insiders club.
Yeah, or like we do this. like venture capitalists invest in this, we don't invest in that because reasons, you know?
Yeah. So I think it's sorry.
My God, I was gonna say, Edward, tell the people what a venture capitalist is.
I don't know if you want to get into that or
No, I mean, it's all right. Think of it like this. Let's say I'm a company or a pool of people with a whole lot of money and we want to make money. So what we're doing is that we're basically, I mean, it can go different ways. You know, we could buy a company, we can invest in companies, but it's just basically people. It's kind of like I'm just trying to relate it to what we're.
It's kind of like if you have a business, right, and you don't have the money to grow or to buy ads and do all this stuff, like these people who control a lot of other people's money can allocate a small portion to you, right? And they're going to make some money if you do really well. You know, like Peter Thiel with Facebook, he owns like a big chunk of Facebook. He owned like $1 billion, right, of Facebook stock because of that. So a lot of these really wealthy guys who are basically not really taking advantage, but are getting in really low on the ground floor of like a big startup. And ordinary people usually can't get into those deals.
Yeah.
But now that's like all changing, which is so exciting, right?
Yeah.
And I think even with what you guys are doing here, like you're now able to do a podcast. You can never do that before.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
I mean, everything's being democratized. Like even with music, with SoundCloud, things like that. You know, for distribution, you would need like a record label. Like everything is being democratized. You know,
studio.
Exactly.
3D printing is democratizing manufacturing in a sense.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm curious. What do you guys think about the Joe Rogan thing? How he signed on to Spotify?
Oh man, I got a lot of.
It.
I did stop watching it but not because of that. But like here's the thing about Joe Rogan. I like the show in the sense that, you know, just the range of guests that he has on, you know.
He's a smart guy too. Yeah.
Yeah. He's an inquisitive guy. Like people give him a lot of shit, but it's like, you know, he's just there to get them talking. Like that's his job, you know, and he does that really well. The whole thing with Spotify is very interesting. You know, it's just a coincidence. He just happens to move to Texas as soon as he gets like $100 million like check. He's not trying to get hit with them Cali taxes, but I don't know. It's very interesting because on one end it's cool. It's like, wow, you know, he's been putting in work for so many years. He's built such a following. You know, finally, you know, he's already doing well, to say the least, but you know, now he's really getting paid. But on the other side, it's like how, you know,
are they going to censor him? Right?
Yeah. Like people already saying that he's being censored. Like when they have guys like Alex Jones and things like that, like the episodes weren't nearly as raw as they were before. He's a lot more like he does a lot more leading. Like, you know, once things gets controversial, he moves a little bit from that. And, you know, he'll claim that, you know, oh, Spotify isn't controlling it, but that's 100% bullshit. Like there's no way you're taking that kind of money and, you know, they're not having a say. Like there's just no way.
Right.
The ones that I noticed a big difference was the episode with Kanye, where I felt like he was super guiding that conversation.
Oh man, if that was pre-Spotify, he would have went off. He would have been screaming. He would have been doing all types.
Bro,
it's like he's definitely. I've also noticed him like correct people. You know, when they're saying off the wall shit. Where
he would never do that
before. He'd be like, yeah, whatever.
Unless it was about weed.
Wait.
Unless it was about weed or DMT or some shit, then he'd be like, "Oh yeah, pull that up, Jamie." But before he would just let you talk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, or MMA. But other than that, he just let you talk. But you know, that's very interesting. You know,
man.
Yeah, so it's the landscape's changing a lot. Like even with my podcast, I got started in 2015, and I do about like maybe 1,000 downloads an episode now, and that just led to such a huge boom for my business, right? And I could never reach those people before, but like now the online stuff, you know, social media, YouTube, it's so easy to put yourself out there.
Yeah,
which is crazy, right?
How has things been going since COVID? Have you seen like the landscape change specifically because of COVID?
And have you written more?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm in a really lucky position. E-commerce, I think, actually did better in COVID. You can see that with like Amazon stock and Shopify stock. PayPal just goes through the roof, right? Same thing happened with me. Like my business just like grew a ton. It's just, it's like insane. I can't even, it's like trying to figure out how to service all customers and clients and stuff. So I feel really lucky, because of that. And a lot of new ideas.
So like when it comes to, that's very interesting. You're talking about like, having the bandwidth of, serving, your customers. Like how does scaling look like for you? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's hard. I kind of burnt myself out, honestly, in like 2019. So I did this whole like travel the world trek, right? Because I got like really burnt out with the business. And it was mainly me like doing a lot of the stuff. And that's why I was trying to like, have it in my hands and everything and like figure everything out. So now, And I was like, whew, like this is a lot of work, And now I'm like a lot more disciplined about building systems and like really boring organizational stuff and like hiring the right people. And it's really like more of like an adult mindset I didn't like as much when I was younger. But like now it's actually how you grow a company, right? It's like you need all those like boring HR like departments, standard operating procedures, like all that BS. So it's a lot of work, but it's like it helps remove you from the process. For me.
How many places did you travel to?
I think I went to like 8 or 9 countries or so. Yeah, over the course of like 8 or 9 months. So I was just kind of hopping around.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I learned a ton about myself. Like if you ever travel alone for that length of time, you learn a lot about yourself. It's kind of scary when you first get started with it.
Like how?
Because, you don't know anyone, right? And like if your whole network is in New York or in Brooklyn, like all your friends are there, right? And then you go and you travel alone and you don't know anyone. Then all of a sudden you have to like think of, okay, what activities am I going to do? I'm going to stay in a hostel, like to meet people, you start to think a little bit differently. And I met a ton of cool people, when I was traveling, I never thought I'd be able to meet. And it just kind of opens your eyes up like a little bit, I think,
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely miss traveling. I never traveled for nearly, as long, but I traveled, a good amount by myself, and it's nothing like it. Like I really, I recommend anyone to travel by themselves at least once. It's very different. When you don't necessarily have, or at least the way I travel, I don't necessarily have an itinerary. I just kind of have things that I may or may not want to do. And then I just go around, talk to people, like staying in hostels. That's pretty cool. Like, yeah.
Yeah. The world is like so big. It's insane, and there's like so much opportunity. It just gave me so many business ideas too, when I was traveling, and like you meet other people that are doing like stuff that they're working from their laptop, and like they're in Vietnam, and it's like you hear about all these interesting stories when I was doing it, and I came back and I was like, wow, this is so cool. I want to do more of that someday. And I think it's really important to do that when you're young, to try to like get outside of your comfort zone a bit, right?
Yeah. What's your favorite trip? What would you describe as your favorite, your favorite trip?
And then your least favorite right after.
Yeah, well, I think that the biggest life-changing one was when I went to El Salvador, tried to find my birth mother. And
this is a good story.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That video it's funny because I saw it earlier today, and then I saw you. I was like, oh shit, that's the guy. Like,
it was crazy, man. Like I didn't really have any kind of information. I just had like this photo of her holding me, and I went back to the town there, and like my Spanish is so. And I just like passed out a bunch of these photos all over the town. And like I eventually, got some info, and like long story short, I was able to meet her, and I found out that I have a half brother there and like a half sister there, and like all this family I didn't even know about. It was such a wild trip. And it was really cool because I don't have any, brothers and sisters here. So it was like the first time like learning about my culture and all that stuff, and being adopted. Like that's a whole other story and stuff.
That's amazing, bro.
Yeah, I can only imagine how that felt, man, because I was getting teary-eyed while I was watching that, man. That's like, what made you decide to just like, I guess try to figure this out? Like, I'm not in that situation, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think about it. I was dating this girl, and she was adopted, and she didn't have like nearly as much info as I did. like I at least knew the town that I was from and stuff like that. And I had a photo, and she was like, "You're nuts if you don't at least try to do this." And like, she kind of guilted me a little bit, honestly, into doing it.
You want to know your mom?
Oh, she's trying to live vicariously through you a little bit.
Yeah. So she kind of got me at least in the mindset. And then I watched this one movie. It's called Lion. I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
I was gonna say Taken, but yeah.
Yeah. And then like that just kind of sparked the idea, and I was like, okay, I'll go for it and like see what happens, kind of deal. And it turned out well. So I'm lucky about that.
Nice. That is amazing.
Are you still in contact with them?
Yeah, like via WhatsApp, but they only speak Spanish, so it's like pretty limited in talking there. But my brother is like a great guy. He's like such a cool guy. And he's been trying to do other stuff. Like he tried to like start a pupusa business there, and he does like recycling and stuff there. He's really into like planting and like the earth and kind of cool stuff. I'm like, he's a cool guy.
That is amazing.
That's a crazy story, because the way you describe it, you just say it pretty like casually, and that's like some movie shit.
Right. He's
like, just did. Like that's literally a fucking movie.
Like,
and then you're just like, oh yeah, I found my birth mother, no big deal,
Well, I think it's because I told the story so many times, and I made a video about it. I wrote a book about it. Like I really went through that, processing that period in my life.
Yeah, you let it out.
Yeah. Which is important. I use writing a lot to do that, is like process things that I'm going through and stuff.
10 books.
Yeah, dude. Crazy, right?
I haven't read that many books in 10 years.
Oh God.
He wrote 10 books and we haven't even read 10 books.
Yeah, I'm trying to read one.
I'm trying to read one book. You writing them now?
He reads the subtitles on foreign Netflix shows.
So when you were traveling, which was the place that you were like, oh shit, like maybe I should have gone home? Was it after Trump got elected and everybody was like, fuck you, America?
Let me get the fuck
I
out.
mean, I had some interesting experiences in Colombia, but
dude,
I would say, well, I would just say, first of all, I would say probably like the coolest one was Cambodia. Like,
okay.
They have such like ancient like architecture, and it looks like it's from like a movie set or something. It's like so cool. And you go into like these different temples, and like you're in like a bit of a jungle kind of feel, and it's just like really neat. I don't know if you saw like the movie Tomb Raider ever, but that movie was like based in Cambodia, and it's really cool.
Which one? There's two of them. You have the
Angelina Jolie one, yeah.
Okay,
I mean, Laura Croft, Angelina.
Yeah, so I think that one was really cool. Colombia, I almost had my phone stolen like 2 times at least.
By the people on notepads?
Yeah.
Yo, bro.
Oh yeah, they just snatched your
iPhone.
We be snatching out people's.
Did that happen to you, or what? How'd you know about that?
We had a guest on the show that spoke to her time, and some guy on a moped rode by.
She was in Panama.
She was like this, using her phone, and he rode by, took it right out of her hand, and kept going.
But she sounded like she got set up by the
girl. Yeah, she's like, she got
the girl that was hosting.
Oh yeah, she got fucking lined up. It wasn't random. It was like, okay,
they spotted her or something, right?
Yeah.
When they try to snatch your phone, I'm guessing that your awareness was like, I see him, he's coming, or was it like a?
Well, I was stupid, honestly. I was really dumb. I had just like arrived. It was late at night. I was hungry. It was like literally like maybe an avenue away, like a McDonald's. And I was just like looking at my phone. I'm like, okay, so like, where is this? And then like 3 motorcycle guys like tried to surround me. And I was like, oh shit, what's happening? And yeah, I kind of like judged the situation. And I was like, I think I can get away. So then I ran like the other way in the direction of traffic. And they couldn't like follow me or like weave in front of the traffic. And then I just like ducked into an alley and then like went home. And I was
smart.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, that was a close call.
That shit sounds like you did that in GTA. That doesn't sound like you did it in real life.
Yo, that is like a movie scene. You get surrounded and he's like, oh shit. Like,
dun, dun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's smart thinking. Because a lot of people would have just stood there. A lot of people would have just stood there and got fucking robbed. Like,
I would have gotten robbed. Like,
you would have fought the 3?
No, I would have gotten robbed.
Oh nah, bro. I'm not getting
Boy,
stomped.
I would have fought the tree.
Nah, no, fuck out of here, bro. I'm not getting stomped out in fucking South America.
In a fucking foreign country, son.
Hell no, bro.
Definitely like that's bad, bro.
Yo,
That's
and imagine if you
Yeah.
win the fight, you're definitely done because they're coming back.
You better fly home that night.
They're coming back.
The other time, so you should always be skeptical when a pretty girl talks to you. I was at a bar and this girl just came up to me and was like talking to me, but like in a weird way, like where she's like too interested. Like
Like out of the blue.
I like your hat and your beard.
Yeah. You should have.
Got
That's
an
when you
iPhone?
karate chop her.
Yeah,
That's
so
like-
get
away.
Yeah.
she was like touching my arm and stuff. I didn't notice, and I was like, okay, like I'm not interested. Like, can you go away or whatever? And like I go to check my pant leg, and my phone's not there.
Oh, she's fast.
Yeah, it was so fast. It was like, and I had to go and like chase after her, and she took it. I had to get it back, and it was like, it was not a good situation.
I was like, what was the conversation after? Like, you're my bad, bro. Gotcha.
Yeah, well, she tried to pretend like she didn't.
Right.
Yeah, it was crazy. She tried to pretend like that she didn't take it or whatever.
Like,
and,
nah,
this
son.
whole conversation, I was like, okay, I'll give you like $10. Like, just give me my phone. And then she's like, okay. And then she gave it to me.
That is crazy.
I mean,
It's wild, yeah. But I mean, I feel lucky
crazy.
again because it could have been worse, and like it was a pretty okay situation. But so those are my more crazy stories from that.
That is crazy.
I had a ton of great experiences though, like going to Thailand, going to Vietnam. It's like another world, you know. It's really cool, and you can see like really interesting temples and like nature and elephants and like all these like cool creatures and stuff. And you know, I really like that component too.
Yeah, I can't wait till all this is over. Traveling is back in. Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to check out like in the South, probably like go to Austin or something. I think that'd be cool when
Okay.
it gets done. Yeah, I've never really been down that area.
I've never been to Texas. I've never been to Texas. I want to go to Texas, check out Atlanta. Yeah. Like I've done a good amount of international traveling, but I haven't traveled all that much within the States.
Whereabouts have you been?
I've been to Australia, England, Spain, Morocco, South Korea, Jamaica.
That's a lot. Damn, that's a lot. Yeah.
I think that's it. It is like 6-7 countries, but one of those countries is all in one trip. I mean, 3 of those because my sister, she used to live in England. She lived in England for like 5 years, so I went and visited her, and then I visited my friend in Morocco, and then I don't know, I fucked up the times on my return flight, so I ended up in Spain for like a good amount of time with no plan. So I was in Madrid, so I just went to hostel, and I just went to like a random bar, and my Spanish is horrible, but luckily, apparently in Madrid, a lot of people speak English. There are a lot of like foreigners. There are a lot of people who travel. Things like that. So yeah, I just linked up with a bunch of people,
dude,
and
that's awesome.
We just got drunk. Like I didn't take, and it's funny because normally when I travel, I usually take people's information. This was completely random. I didn't take their number, whatever. We got drunk. I left. Somehow I got back to the place because I didn't know where I was somehow. And it's crazy because on the way back, people. You know how you have like street vendors and stuff like that out in Madrid. They have people selling like beers. Like
yeah. If you go to a bar there, they'll feed you too. Like they feed you little appetizers and stuff.
Yeah. And people and it's like 4 something in the morning, and I'm done. And like these people are trying to give me like those little Carlsberg beers. They're taking it off like the tabs. They're like, cerveza. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. Yeah, that's really cool. You've been to a lot of places. Definitely.
What is a major source of like your influence or your motivation?
Of my influence? Like people who have influenced me or
Either one.
Well, I mean, my YouTube channel is mainly about like, how do you start a business? How do you get funding for ideas? How do you create a product? That kind of stuff. So we have about 25,000 subscribers on that YouTube channel. And then same thing with like my podcast. A lot of my books are on that topic, or I've read a book about podcasting, like digital nomad stuff. So like a few other mini topics. A lot of my like influencers are probably the same people you watch on YouTube. Like I really like Grant Cardone, like Ty Lopez is a cool guy, I think. Watched a lot of like Gary Vee back in the day. I know Gary Vaynerchuk, if you ever seen him. A lot of like business people like that. Or, you know, I like a lot of writers, like a lot of interesting poets, you know, William Blake, I like a lot. So it's kind of like, it depends on what I'm interested in. I have a lot of different projects that I have going, you know.
Yeah.
You ever, since you read a lot, you ever done any spoken word or anything of that nature?
Hey,
I haven't actually, but I've been thinking about trying something like that. Maybe.
Yo,
you get $10, yo, just write a quick poem. First one page, it doesn't have to be a book.
Let it go right now. Just go.
Yo, give us a quick 16 right now. Let's go.
I don't know if I could do it off the cuff, but I've been writing more poetry for sure recently. So it's something I should think about. Yeah.
The reason why we led to that, because Los, he does spoken word. He does spoken word, and we've had a lot of spoken word artists here. Like we had Gavin, we had a bunch of people who like are into art, some V-Man. It's like cool. It's like a very consistent thing. Like we have a lot of poets, Pro Jones,
we have a poetry circle, poetry corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once all this passes, I like one thing, like we have, you know, we like me and DK, we live together. We like to throw a lot of parties, and we're getting a backyard space redone, and it's like pretty spacious and stuff like that. We would just love to set up an event where it's just like an artist corner. Where it's just so like cool. Creatives, where it's just like poets, writers, like they could all get together, collaborate, like some could perform. Like we really want to set something, just something like intimate, doesn't have to be anything crazy, just so people could connect with each other. That's something we definitely have.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a cool idea. And when you get like videographers and like you get people into spoken word, like you kind of intermingle, right? And you make stuff together, which is kind of cool. And I think that's how a lot of good art, you know, comes about too, honestly.
Facts.
Yeah, so I like that idea.
So I actually wanted to ask you about, I guess, just your work with other entrepreneurs, because given the nature of the space that you're in, you must come across a lot of really cool ideas, some cool, some crazy. So I was just curious, you know, I guess in your time in that field, you know, what are some of the cool ideas you've come across that have succeeded, haven't succeeded, or, you know, maybe ones you could talk about that just for some reason just fucked up in more ways than one?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd be pretty biased because, like, obviously I'm going to mention a lot of the people I worked with. But, like, one I have that's coming out soon is this guy who he would have AirPods, right? And he'd always go on runs and stuff like that. And they would always be falling out. It was really annoying. So he invented this, like, this thing you put on your ear and it keeps your AirPods there when you're running or you're boxing, or you're like skateboarding, that kind of stuff. It's just really like small device that just goes on your ear. It's not rubber, but like some kind of synthetic thing. And he's doing like what's called a pre-launch for it that I kind of patented a little bit. And he's doing super well, like tons of people in his Facebook group. People are so excited about this thing. And then that's going to come out probably in the next week or two, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's dope.
I just finished one for a fitness product where we raised about $50K for this one called Axiom Pull, which is really neat, like an at-home workout thing. Probably the funnest one that I've done is this guy came to me after I gave a talk in New York, and he had this really like crazy idea to make this like all-in-one multi-tool device for campers. And like it can recharge your cell phone, it can purify water, it has a strobe light, it has like a fire starter, like a lighter, has like all this stuff. And he's like, I want to call it
Transformer.
I know. He wanted to call it. It looks like a lifesaver, like a lightsaber, you know, like a Jedi lightsaber. So he wants to call it Life Saber. I was like, dude, I'm sold on this. That's such a great idea. Yeah, and like so we worked together for like maybe 6 months or 5 months, and he launched it and ended up doing like 180K on Kickstarter for this.
Damn.
And now he's like producing this, which is really cool. So a lot of interesting people, but whenever I meet someone who's like super into it, like I'll start to get excited about it.
Yeah, they pull you in, like it draws you in when they're so excited.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so those are just a couple examples, but there are a lot of really interesting Kickstarters, like Cards Against Humanity that started on Kickstarter. You have a lot of like Exploding Kittens, that tabletop started on Kickstarter.
Love that game.
Yeah. So a bunch of different ones. I've interviewed like the folks from Cyanide and Happiness. They did a whole, web series comic thing. A lot of big name people in that way. Cthulhu, that's a thing that's coming out. So a lot of interesting ones there.
Man.
Yeah, what I don't know. I've read something about like a lot of not just like tabletop games and stuff like that, but like video games being crowdfunded. Like Star Citizen. Is that?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, and I hear like mixed, things about it,
Yeah, so I think one of the things with Kickstarter is like you have to be aware you're not buying a product, you're more like supporting the creation of it, and you get to own the initial version when it comes out. So it's not like Amazon really. So there's a little bit of, I think, different expectation, but I also have people on the show that just are doing e-commerce. So like I had on the guys who invented Bubbly Blaster, that was on Shark Tank recently. So they like were sharing how they got on Shark Tank and like how that blew up their website and stuff. So it's also like those kind of innovative products that I like to have on my podcast also.
So that's like your alumni end up on Shark Tank. Is that like you're like the Shark Tank pipeline,
right?
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, Bubbly Blaster. Did you guys ever see that product on Shark Tank?
I haven't.
Cool.
I don't know.
It's like you can you attach it to a champagne bottle and you can spray it like in people's mouths or spray it up.
Oh, that's
yeah.
No, that's a fucking flex. That's a party flex. Like you have one of those, you're like, I got the Bubbly Blaster.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, that has to be at the artist party, definitely.
Yeah, I'm bringing it.
Facts.
No lie, I'm actually writing down Bubbly Blaster
right now.
Like that's going in my notes.
Already ordered it. I'm gonna tell Alexa right now.
The Bubbly Blaster.
It took them like a year to get on Shark Tank. It's crazy, like the prep they do for that show. And then they had to wait, like with COVID, like a good 2 weeks before they even got on the thing. So it was like this whole process that happens behind these big shows. I don't think I'd have the patience like to keep pursuing it for a year, to get on a show like that or something.
I wonder how those crazy products that like are obviously crazy kind of sneak through, I guess, with a process that long. Like, do they intentionally let wacky ideas just
without a doubt.
We should come up with a wacky idea and swap it at the end.
Just to give people hope.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's like, they probably bring on genuine products, but a lot of the producers has to be like, oh yeah, this is going to get people to watch. We're going to have this goofy fucking bullshit that no one's ever going to buy, but it's going to be entertaining.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be the case, right? So I have this idea. I think that eventually Shark Tank is going to let the viewers like invest in the product using crowdfunding.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So kind of like a home shopping thing, but like you can actually invest in the company if the sharks don't want it. I think that's going to happen someday.
Ooh, that's pretty fucking fire.
Yeah, right?
I'm gonna put dolphin sounds over your ideas. So
because that could be you. Yeah,
you gotta make sure nobody takes it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Kickstarters already go on Shark Tank, so it's like I don't see any reason why in the future they wouldn't do something like that. Yeah, but then there's a lot of legality and stuff that goes into that.
Yeah, how do people that start funding or start their projects on Kickstarter, Indiegogo platforms like that, like? How do they deal with the legal sides of that? Or is that even something that comes up frequently? Or like, do people not care till it starts making money? Or is that something where at like the beginning stages, becomes a problem?
So probably the most common one that comes up is understanding if you need a patent or not, right, for a product. Because if you're putting out there so publicly, like the fidget cube, right? Or I mean, there's a lot of like those fidget spinners, fidget cubes and stuff. And then all of a sudden they're getting ripped off by like every company in China, right?
Mad corner stores. All corner stores got one.
Yeah. So there's a lot of talk about like patents and understanding if you should get one or not. There's some legality on like, selling and like, should you have a company or not? But it's more so on like the new equity investment side that there's a lot more regulation, not as much with the Kickstarters and stuff. So, I mean, that's a whole other really boring topic, honestly. But yeah, a lot of legalities and all that fun jazz. Yeah. Aside from that, I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the other Kickstarters that I've really been interested in that are like kind of jumping out to me. I had this one girl on my podcast. So she had come up with a book, her and her like co-founder came out with a book. And the idea was like, oh, we're going to have a children's book, but instead of the hero being a guy, it's going to be a girl. Like, so it's going to be like heroines more so. And she called it Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls. And she had this like great idea. She came on my show. She only had like maybe 50K or something raised. And then it like blew up in the media. And she ended up raising like 635K or something. And then she got into like Barnes and Noble. And now it's like this whole thing. Right?
Damn.
Yeah. So it's really cool to see how like how quickly that can happen. And you can like grow a project like that.
Yeah, immediately.
It just comes out of nowhere, if you just hit like the right channel and sometimes. Yeah. So that kind of stuff gets me excited.
I'm curious, what do you think is the common thread for, I guess, Kickstarters that are successful? Like, is there a common thread? Is it the quality of their idea? Is it how they communicate their idea? Is it how they do things on the back end? What do you think is like the common thread that separates people who are successful from people who aren't? The
secret sauce.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I'm not going to go pitch you that. There's so many different categories on Kickstarter. So you do have like the tabletop games. You have like people that are doing film projects. My photographer recently did an Indiegogo. She raised like 5K for this short film. Right. You have people doing like physical products, more like a design product, like a wallet or something like that. So you have a lot of different categories. So you kind of have to think about what category you're going in. But probably one of the biggest ones is that a lot of these campaigns nowadays are doing what's called a pre-launch, where they're kind of they're gathering a bit of a tribe ahead before they go live. So when they go live, it's like they get instantly funded, right? It's like you blow past your funding goal, you hit it in the first day or two, and then it's like kind of off to the races. So I talked a lot about that in my book, The Kickstarter Launch Formula. But the pre-launch is probably one of the most important things nowadays, I'd say. Because there's a lot of competition now. Like now you have really good videos, you have people putting money into their project, right? So you do still have the small indie stuff, but there definitely is a lot more competition, I think, than before. It's like pros and cons,
Do you think things are getting saturated, or is that even possible?
I don't know. I think that we're going to see some changes. Like, I know that Kickstarter, the company, which is based in New York, they want to focus more on like the idea stage and like helping creative types be more creative, right? We see a lot more like in e-commerce. It's just like on fire with Facebook ads and like the new digital marketing, everything you can do. So we see really young people being successful without necessarily even that much money, right? So I think it's just going to get more and more competitive. And I think it's a really good time to get in if you're trying to launch a product or something like that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think, okay. So one of my sponsors, he does this whole website. He's like 20, he's the same age I am. He's 29, I think. And he has like a big company, like, I don't know, 20, 25 people. And he invented this new like app that does augmented reality, where kind of like with these other companies, you can like, I don't know, project a sofa or a desk or something into your room and decide whether or not you want to purchase it, right? That augmented reality stuff. That's going to become more of a thing.
That's amazing.
And then that's going to be a Kickstarter thing where you can see what it looks like, kind of, right? Like the prototype, and be like, "Ooh, that's cool. I want that." You know, that's going to become the next thing.
That's dope.
There's so many ideas. So many good ideas. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing, man. I feel like a lot of people have good ideas, but it's just like they don't execute on it.
Yeah.
Like they don't like, I think working with other people and just following through and just, following through, I think is like the hard thing, man. Like a lot of people talk like they can be CEOs, but don't do shit.
But don't pull up and make it happen, right?
So many good ideas, and it's like so many levels. It's people who have a good idea or have an idea and then never try it. And there are the people who execute but don't execute it correctly. Like there's so many layers before you get to that sort of like success,
It's a mix of luck and preparation. So
Yeah. The other thing is like you don't always have to do it all yourself. I thought for many years I had to do it all myself, and then I kind of realized like, oh, I'm good at certain things. I'm really bad at other things. Like you can meet other people who can help you with other skill sets that you don't have.
yeah.
And I think when I started to realize that, I started to grow more. So like now I'm not doing the editing for my videos, and now they're a lot better.
Man, his intro is beast, bro.
Yeah, it is.
To that level, it's super professional.
It is. I think it seems like the common thread of anyone who's like run a business or organization. It seems like the common thread of everyone who does it well are people who know how to delegate. It's just like you said, it's understanding that not everyone is good at everything, and just recruiting or just having people in your network who can help you out with particular things, whether they be friends, employees, acquaintances, whatever.
Yeah, that's so cool about the show that you guys do, is that like you get to expand your network too, and you get to meet all of these cool people. And like if you have ever a cool project idea, you can easily pull people into it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, you fell into our trap. Yeah, you fucked up. Got him.
Kickstart us.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's really cool. Definitely.
So what's next for you, man? What are you going to be doing?
I'm also kind of curious. Like, you guys have had a ton of people on your show. Like, have you had any common threads or anything like that besides the having lots of spoken words, guests and stuff?
Go ahead.
I think we all have different ansers. But you go first.
Everybody, now y'all go first. I go.
No.
Fuck it. I'll go first. Fuck that. Number one, yo. Well, the show has kind of evolved over the years, where before it was kind of just random conversations, just talking shit, and it's more evolved into like us having random professionals just come on and do a lot of talking. I think because of our social circles, I think that's specifically why we get a lot of people who do like spoken word or maybe write books or things like that. But I don't know. We just keep trying to meet more people, expand our network, and just trying to bring more people on. Like I'll say one of the biggest influences, at least on mine, for me wanting to like do this was pretty much the Joe Rogan podcast, the old one. I miss the old Rogan where he just has mad random guests, and I love that. Like I like the idea of like us having eventually like scientists that are like top of their field in the same way Rogan had, and just have crazy
Alex
conversations. Jones. Yeah, or crazy conspiracy people.
Eddie Bravo, world is flat, all that type of shit.
And we actually smoke weed with Elon Musk. Yeah.
Right.
Oh. And then we actually started another show called that's what we refer to as like the Rundown, and that's us talking about like current events and stuff like that. I mean, it's been evolving since we first started. I'll say one of my inspirations for wanting to do stuff like that was John Oliver, Hassan Minaj, just those type of shows where they talk about current events, and they have their own spin on it. They make jokes about it in the same way we do. And I don't know, man. I'm just kind of going with the flow. Like,
do you ever listen to like Lewis Howes? He does one on the School of Greatness. Is a YouTube podcast kind of thing.
I've listened to it like a while ago, but not like consistently.
Okay, yeah, he has some really interesting guests, I think, on, and like Tim Ferriss, obviously.
Yeah,
like,
Tim Ferriss. Yeah, I was about to drop that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's such an interesting guy. He has so many cool guests and everything on. And it's almost like you get different ideas just listening to other industries, right? And these things.
Absolutely. I don't know. I think the common thread, we realize that our networks are, I don't know. I'm going to assume this for Los and DK, but I think our networks are a lot deeper than we think they are. You know what I mean? There are a lot of people who do a lot of interesting things who want to talk about it. And I think, we sort of provide that medium. I'm mostly concerned about the quality of guests and the quality of the conversations that we have, more so than anything else. If anything, no matter where this goes, at least we'll have that connection with people. Like we've already connected people from our network. Like, I'm trying to, I can't say a specific example because it's like, it's their private thing. But we've already connected people, from different episodes, people in our networks who may have heard something. He's like, oh yeah, can you put me in contact with this person? And they ended up doing business together. So
that's really cool.
I think it is just about, I find it fun. I think it's interesting connecting with people, and if anything, I don't know, only good things come from it.
Have you ever thought of doing like a Patreon or anything like that? You guys familiar with that?
Yeah.
I just heard about it recently.
That's a crowdfunding thing. That's why I'm bringing that up.
There's a lot of like little things that I feel like, damn, there's just so many little things we still need to do, man. It's just crazy. It's like the work kind of never stops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of podcasters making like really good money on Patreon. It's crazy. I think it's just becoming like more and more popular or something.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where people are really. It's like people get really invested with like I don't even want to call it a movement, but like a particular personality or idea or whatever, and people really want to support it directly. So like, even if you don't have that many people supporting you, it can still be pretty profitable. If you have a few hundred people supporting you every month, that's pretty substantial, Yeah.
I think we're going to see more too, like content that goes off of the main channels, because just seeing the way that like big tech companies take off sometimes, like someone they don't like from their platform or content they don't like, I think we're going to see more people like building their own little bubbles, kind of like that.
It's funny. We were speaking about that specifically because Trump got fired, and how like it's in a sense like I guess we said that we don't necessarily know how to feel about it, but it's like a good and a bad thing, right? It's, I think, good because it's like it's going to create an opportunity, like you said, for another social media platform to come up and like even out the playing field. Because like right now, Facebook, Google, Instagram, like TikTok, like, it's kind of like we have centralized social networks in a sense. Like everybody's just on these few platforms and stuff like that. And it's just like we've learned from like events like the Cambridge Analytica situation, how like, you can subtly manipulate the public just through the type of ads and
it's so manipulative. People. Yeah, it is so manipulative. Like I do Facebook ads myself. It's very manipulative. And the way you can target people, it's so granular. Like I can know how much you've watched of a video, right? And retarget you. Even when you go off of Facebook, I can target you using a Facebook pixel. So it's like, it's very next world, like Orwellian kind of stuff.
So Google is actually going to do something. I don't know if they officially did it or if it's maybe in the pipeline where they're creating a version of Chrome that gets rid of cookies altogether.
So I heard about that.
This is going to be great for Google, for Facebook, for companies like that already have tons of data on you and can mine it and tailor it to advertisers. What getting rid of those cookies does is it gets rid of opportunities or ways for other not established like advertising and media companies to like aggregate information about their users, because the cookies just sit on your computer, and then every website you visit can pull data from that. But if they get rid of that altogether, it's like you're only going to be able to you're going to have to go to the big companies in order to advertise your stuff. So they're going to have just a lot more leverage. Like I think Google doesn't have the best intentions in there. That's why I think it's going to go bad. I think the idea, it's great. Yeah, more privacy, but Google doesn't have good intentions with that move. So I'm just wondering about how this is going to affect advertisement in the long run.
Quote unquote privacy. You know, because if you already want to cut out cookies, you can. Like, you don't, there's different methods of doing so, but you're right. Like, I think this is just Google's way of monopolizing that, and they're going to pass it off. Oh yeah, it's privacy. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Bullshit. But
take over. It's going to convince people.
It is literally like every tech company is a monopoly in what they do. I feel, Google is like search, Facebook is like social networking. Instagram is like looking at photos and video, right? YouTube is longer video content. So it's like they don't have any competitors,
They just keep taking over one by one. That's true. Yeah.
Alphabet/Google have the two largest search engines, my man. They're number ones with the two largest search engines, which is for YouTube, for video, and then just regular Google for regular text search. So.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, I agree with you. And one of the new things with Facebook is they're in a battle with Apple, right? Because Apple is saying that you can't track people unless they give you permission. So they're going to make every time you log in, you have to approve that Facebook can track you. And that's a whole big dispute that's happening right now with Facebook and Apple. I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but it's been pretty big. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting the next couple of years.
People are going to get fucking annoyed as hell, man. They're going to be like, fuck it, just follow me. Like, they're going to get annoyed of having to do that shit.
That's where I'm at.
People go for convenience. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Damn, sounds like we live in the hood, son. GTA shit.
The fucking sirens, bro. Yo, someone has their fucking 4 stars right now.
Quick, run against traffic, right? And then jump into a little ditch, right?
Yeah. What's crazy? So I don't know why I thought about GTA with this, but I think it was like Casey Neistat, or it was one of these YouTubers. They were trying to play this new game where this guy is going to wear like an Oculus Rift, like the 3-dimensional kind of goggle things. Yeah. And it's going to be drones that are like flying above you. And you can play like a first-person shooter, but you're not going to be able to look like you can't look.
Oh,
normally.
Yeah.
It's like you have an Oculus nuts. And it's weird. So to be almost like you're looking down on yourself from these drones that are following you. And he's like trying to design a game about that. Kind of weird, right?
Yeah,
that's nuts. That's nuts.
Kind of weird.
And I wonder, talking about this is, I don't know how far, if this goes too far off the rails, just let me know. But it's like, I just wonder how Facebook is going to leverage the Oculus Rift and how they're going to integrate that into their sort of
ecosystem.
Ecosystem, because you already have games like Apex Legends, Fortnite, free-to-play games. Obviously, they make a lot of money off of, people just buying, skins and shit like that. But they also make a lot of money by collecting your data and reselling it and leveraging it. So I wonder, especially with something like, Oculus Rift, I wonder how deep they could get into tracking you. Like, they could maybe track, how you move and things like that. it's just really interesting what that extra layer of data could do for them.
Did you see that one Netflix documentary? I forget the name of it, but it was about like social media. It came out pretty recently.
Yeah. It's like all the ex-social media people are talking about how, how
they're aimed to take your, it's like crafted. This job is to take your data and then use your data against you to pull.
We're fighting algorithms.
Right.
Like they're going to try and make a digital version of you, kind of like to figure out who you are, like your personality type, all that stuff. Yeah, your avatar. Mm-hmm. It's really creepy stuff. I forget the name of that documentary, but that's a good one to check out. Anyone who's listening.
Yeah, that's like the future. You know, we watch fucking. So one of my favorite movies of all time is Terminator 2, and like the whole thing behind it is that the future, dystopian future, is it's Skynet, a program, and a bunch of fucking robots killing humans. Where it's really just like, you know, it's way less sort of I guess in your face. It's, you know, the future. The future dystopian sort of thing that's more likely isn't this, you know, giant robots killing you, but these giant companies and algorithms controlling you and gathering information, things like that. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, even like some of the self-driving car stuff is really interesting, or they have now like self-driving drones that they think police are going to use it someday, right? To like track down people.
Shit.
That's Skynet shit. That's Skynet shit.
That's Skynet shit. Gotta get it, man. That's definitely a Skynet shit, bro.
Yeah.
And then we lose control, and then we get the T-1000.
I think advertisers are gonna ruin things like augmented reality. My fault if y'all went off of that.
No, it's
But
true.
I think advertisers are gonna ruin it. Advertisers, I think, have already ruined, or advertising has ruined to me the internet and social media, because now it's not about like getting you the correct information, making you informed. It's about like just grabbing your attention and then just, you know, and then just benefiting off of like, really, it's just grabbing your attention, just making you watch something long enough so that they can subliminally send messages to you. And I feel like, with augmented reality, it's just going to be pop-ups everywhere, bro. That's why you can't get the iPhone from Futurama.
Well, I think that's the problem is like when it was getting started, the internet was all about creativity, right? And like making stuff, cool stuff. And now it's just about how do you like milk money out of people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or how do you get someone long enough watching a YouTube video to hit an ad to then buy a product, you know? So I don't like that aspect of commerce. It just turns like everything you're watching, your phone, it's into a TV where you're just watching commercial after commercial, right? But you don't realize it necessarily now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My fault, go ahead.
No, you can go. Sorry.
I was gonna say the new thing with commercials is the commercials within the videos. Like they'll do commercials without you like just subtly noticing things, just the way they talk about products. There's a lot of product placement in a lot of shows right now. You know, specifically putting Apple products or Android products, like, and there's contracts too about that. I think like Apple specifically has like conditions about like the type of person who can have an iPhone and stuff like that. Like
they do
advertisement, son, is so like subtle now, bro. Like
they do it in the middle of a podcast and everything, bro. They're like, oh, before we get any further, while you're here, listen to like they do it right in the middle of the podcast, bro. They just drop their whole product, the whole first like 30 minutes, and then they just drop their product right there, and you're like.
And with video games, I remember a while back they were talking about throwing video games inside or advertisement within the games, but what they wanted to do, meaning like advertisers and the owners of the company, whatever, is that they wanted to be able to give customized ads within the game. So let's talk about GTA, for instance, right, where you have a lot of billboards.
Yeah,
we will, or any sports games, right? Like we won't all be seeing the same ad, even though we're playing the same exact game or even at the same exact time, right? Each of those ads would be tailored to you. I don't know to what degree that evolved or that actually ended up happening, but when I heard that, I was like, fuck. I was like, fuck. Like nothing is safe, bro. Nothing is safe.
It's already been happening. Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say they're trying to sell everything. It reminds me of the Black Mirror episode where the guy was on the bike.
Oh, I knew he was gonna say.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it reminds me of that. Like everything is to sell, bro. Everything is to sell.
To me, it's also like when you're watching like a horror movie, and then they come up with an ad that's like a home defense network or something, like where you need to defend your home. So it's like you're going to be playing a video game that's like a horror game, and you're going to be getting those kinds of ads in it or something.
Perfect timing, right? Perfect timing. When you just get out your fucking mind.
That's crazy. That's crazy. They're already doing it. Like people are getting mad, and the new UFC game is that okay? I paid $70 for a brand new game. And in the game, let's say if it's connected to the internet and you're playing online, they're showing like ads. You know how you have ads in the ring whenever, you know, you're watching a fight, but they have like current relevant ads. Like like in the game, like you're being advertised to in the game. So like, let's say they kind of emulate the whole experience. Like in between rounds, they may talk about a sponsor, but they're really showing you ads, and people are like, "Yo, what the fuck? I spent it's not. I understand if it's like a freemium game or whatever, but I spent $70. Why the fuck are you advertising for me? Like, you know,
that's just crazy."
Yeah, it's only going to get even more sophisticated too with all these algorithms and AI and everything. So,
yeah, like even this podcast is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends.
It's always Raid Shadow Legends, bro.
Yo, always.
Shadow Legends.
Or Tunnel Bear, what is it? Fucking always.
Yo, has anyone ever played that game or used fucking Tunnel Bear or like any of that shit? Like, oh my god.
That or what's the one with the Castle Wars? Some Castle something.
Yeah, it's Castle something.
That's
yeah, Castle something. Yeah.
That shit is annoying every time.
Yeah, they have mad money to spend on marketing, I guess.
Assholes. They're assholes.
Yeah, so I mean, just to kind of bring it back, like while I talk about all of these things, not liking, commercial stuff and like ads and commerce, the reason why I'm so passionate about what I do is like I can teach the little guy how to compete with the big guy. Like those innovators, those creators to come out with a new product. Like I can teach them the tricks of the trade that these other guys are using, and kind of arm them with those weapons so that they can go out there and they can battle against it and they can win, That's kind of where I get passionate about that.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, where do you, I think we might have asked this before, but like, when do you see yourself in the future?
I don't know. I mean, like, I honestly have no idea. I mean, I could give you like a BS answer, but I think I'm just kind of trying to build the company more now and rely on other people. I've never really hired this many people before. I have a project manager now and like people on my Facebook analytics and stuff. So I'm just trying to keep it as it goes. All right.
Oh, the illusion is gone.
Guys, I'm not alone.
I think we should end it there. That was great.
Leave that in.
No, we should edit that and just put that like at the end or in the beginning. I don't know. That would be funny.
No, that's going to be the clip at the beginning. So
yeah. Like that's the very first thing they see. They're just like.
But I guess just to close this out, Sal, I guess any last words and, just make sure to plug all your stuff in. I'm definitely going to put it in the description and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Plug the fuck out of your shit.
Yeah. So if you guys want to learn about starting a new business or e-commerce or Kickstarter, I mean, you can just search me on YouTube, like Salvador Briggman. You just put that into YouTube. You'll come across my videos. And I'm really like a no nonsense kind of guy. I'll just kind of tell you how it is. And if you find it to be helpful, awesome. If you don't, that's cool too. But I just kind of hope who's ever listening, like if you took a little bit of inspiration away that like you can actually do this. There's a lot of opportunity nowadays to be able to get something out there. You'd be pretty happy with that, I think.
And that's the base.
The base.
The base.